We're going to revisit an issue today. If you like what you're hearing and seeing, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to know your thoughts. This is an emotional topic. We're going to talk about CEOs. We're going to talk about the truth about CEOs, right? The difference between the CEO of your company and probably yourself and me and most other people. Being in a town hall a while back, this fella asked why his compensation was, or his raise every year was never enough to cover his cost of living increase, right? Inflation. And I wrote in a very cold answer. It was out of turn. I actually got in trouble for it. But the truth of the matter is, the reason why his and mine and most of us, our raises don't cover the cost of inflation is because we're more easily replaceable. At least that's what everybody believes, right? We're more easily replaceable than the CEO at the top, the decision maker, or one of the people that holds her purse strings, excuse me. So, you know, I'm not going to say that we as truck drivers are a dime a dozen. That would be an overstatement, but we're definitely not one in a million, right? If we quit, we walk out the door, it's not going to hinder operations. They'll just get someone else to do the job. They'll just get someone else to cover the load. They'll hire a third party to come in and cover your load if they really need to. They'll contract the load out, right? They'll call in a third party logistics provider. They'll come in and deal with it till you're replaced, right? So we're not like super irreplaceable, right? We're necessary, but we're not the elite. When I did a case study on this one CEO in particular, I'm looking at how he went from not being in the company to pretty much skipping ahead of everybody and going right into senior management, and within a couple of years becoming the CEO. And at every step of the way, his life was elite, right? No different than a sports player, right? A sports player, you know, you play baseball or hockey when you're young. Some years will be done. You'll never make even the travel team. Some years will make the travel team. You might make AAA, or some will go on to AA. Some will make the big leagues. And then within those who make the big leagues, some will be the top of the big leagues, right? And that's pretty much what this guy is, except in an academic sense. He went to a non-Ivy League college, and from that non-Ivy League college, he managed to get into Harvard, which is one of the hardest places to get into on the planet. And to get into Harvard, he would have had to have shown an insane amount of ambition. He would have had to have great references. He would have had to have had goals and direction. Probably, I think it's like a 3.8 or 4.0 grade average. Like, he would have had to be the top of his class in this non-Ivy League school to get into Harvard. Because they get, I don't know how many tens of thousands of applications, but only a small amount get in, right? Well, he got in. So, right there, yeah. So right there, you're already seeing this dude is top tier, okay? And then this would have been in his early 20s. From Harvard, after getting his degree, he got in at McKinsey Consultants. Now, McKinsey they receive, again, thousands of applications by young, hungry people who want a career in consulting, because they know it'll be a springboard to something bigger, set them up for life. Of the thousands of resumes they get, only a small percentage get an interview. And of those who get an interview, very few of those get the job. But this guy got the job. Now, in McKinsey, in Associates, the average person only stays there for a couple of years because the pace is rigorous. When you're in McKinsey, they have a philosophy. You are up or you are out. You will not coast as a McKinsey consultant. You will either advance or they'll ask you to leave within a couple of years. And the average person the average elite can't take that kind of stress. So they leave within a few years, from what I've been reading and what I see former McKinsey employers say. It's just a horrendous pace. It's a lot of work. So this person here, however, they ended up staying there about 12 years. So they were actually, interesting enough, they were there through the Purdue scandal. They didn't work on that, from what I can see. Their expertise was transportation and logistics. Excuse me. So in this environment that is cutthroat, it's busy, this dude was the elite of the elite in this consulting firm. Going from this consulting firm, he was able to go into a Fortune 500 company, jump the line, and within a couple of years become the CEO. So what do you have going on here, right? What kind of person is this, right? They had to be elite of the elite to just jump into a senior management position in a Fortune 500 company. They had to be the elite of the elite to last that many years at McKinsey. They had to be the elite of the elite just to get into McKinsey, to get an interview even. They had to be the elite of the elite in their college to get into the Ivy League college. This implies that this person had a mindset that most of us have never had. They had it from childhood. Someone probably saw their potential. They possibly groomed them for it. Their parents probably saw the potential, and the parents were probably heavily involved in their life. That's what this implies, right? They probably came from a stable environment where they could learn and really use their gifts. That's what it implies. Now, you compare someone's past with someone like that, right? With the average person. I consider what I was doing as a teenager. Now, this person here, and I'm 46 years old. I'm 46 years old. This person, I should mention, when they became the CEO, they were 45. Okay, 45. I look at myself and I'm like, I'm nowhere near what they're doing, right? But I compare what I was doing when I was a teenager. I was impulsive. I hated authority. I skipped school whenever I could. I was drunk or I was stoned. My buddies and I, we just had no use for academics, right? I actually dropped out. You know, to a lesser extent, that's probably what a lot of other people's lives are. They had no use for school. They didn't care, they didn't care about academics. And most of us don't have the gifts, right? Let's put it this way. While we're playing beer league business, beer league baseball, we're playing beer league business. This person's playing professional level business, right? We had no direction. They had life goals. They were like, where we just would play a game of pool and just shoot the ball in the hole. This person here, of this mindset, they've been taking their shot with the idea of setting up their next shot, right? If they were playing chess, if we were playing chess together, we'd be focused on the move at hand. If they were playing chess, they'd be focused 12 moves ahead, right? That's the difference between them. They literally are one in a million. And what are we? We come a dime a dozen, right? By comparison. That's why they make the money they do and we make the money we do. That's why these guys always get raises that are way above and beyond inflation, and we don't get anything that's near inflation. And this might sound a bit, every motivational speaker says this, but you can't have elite results when you don't have an elite mindset, or you don't have an elite you don't have elite habits. Even if you're not a prodigy like some of these people, we could probably all still be further ahead if we had this mindset, right? So we could do the most with the gifts we have, right? And I think the takeaway from this is like, it drives me nuts when I try telling my kids they need to see school as school's a competition. It's a blood sport, man. Maybe it's too late for me, but if I can instill this into my kids, that academics matter, that their habits matter, having goals and ambition and thinking ahead matters, right? If you're watching this and you lasted this long, it's highly possible it's too late for you. But when I consider the lives that some of these people who go to the top are like, when I consider their lives, their upbringing, if you have an unstable household, for the sake of your kids, for the sake of the next generation, maybe work on your marriage. Maybe work on creating a more stable environment, one where your kids can prosper in education, right? To me, that's the takeaway. It's not, and then also, the more I learned about this background versus my background, the more I realized I should probably just be thankful for how far I have gone, right? I should be thankful that I was smart enough to at least buy my own house. I should be thankful that I could at least keep my crap together for long enough to raise a family, right? And provide for them, So I think we shouldn't compare ourselves with these people, because number one, if they are that high, if they've gone to the top where they're the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, they're prodigies, right? They're already intellectually above us, right? and all the other stuff I mentioned. So we should be thankful for that we got as far as we got, okay? And also maybe look toward the next generation, right? If there's anything you saw in this video, you can pass on some of these pearls of wisdom to your kids. This is what I'm trying to do anyways. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the issue. This is why you're not getting paid what you think you should get paid. And for these people, it's a double-edged sword, really, these CEOs. These people they're like sharks. They love business. They get off on business. It's a sport to them. And if they're doing their job right, hopefully we play for a winning team that gets all the business and we stay busy. But the other side of the coin is them doing what they got to do to be the best in their field also requires possibly replacing us with robots. When you're at the bottom, you hope that those people at the top, that when they are chasing their dreams, chasing that victory, that it also includes you. So anyway, that's all I got today. Cheers. Till next time, keep the rubber side down.